So we begin today with our reorganization meeting, and we have citing first item of new business to administer an oath to new board member. Ms. Clark, would you like to come up to get the oath of office? You can repeat after me. I, Geraldine Clark,
I, Geraldine Clark,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
of the United States of America
of the United States of America
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of
and I will faithfully discharge the duties of
member of the Board of Education
member of the Board of Education
of the South Huntington School District
of the South Huntington School District
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Congratulations. All right, congratulations, Jerry. Great job. And we welcome you with open arms to the board. We know you're going to have great contributions. And I didn't realize until election night that you have deep ties to the community and a connection with my mom as well. Because my mom and her mom actually graduated together.
Mom's right there.
Yeah. Hi, Mom. So yeah, my mom and her mom, I think they graduated together. So that's nice. All right. Now we're gonna have our next section is election of board officers. So I will take a motion to nominate president of the Board of Education. Is there a motion? Ms. LaCara?
Okay. I thought you said to nominate. Yes, I nominate Nixie Harris.
Okay. Is there a second? Ms. LaCara, seconded by Mr. Joyner. Any other nominations? All in favor? Any opposed? Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank you. All right. Move on to item 2, election of vice president. Is there a motion to elect a vice president? Ms. Meyer.
I would like to nominate Mrs. LaCara.
Ms. LaCara. Is there a second? Mr. Joyner. Any other nominations? All in favor? Any opposed? Congratulations, Ms. LaCara. And Ms. Caliendo, I think you have to administer oath.
I do.
Okay. Ms. LaCara.
I, Angela Harris, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of New York and the Constitution of the State of New York, and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of Vice President of the South Huntington School District according to the best of my ability. Congratulations.
All right. So the rest of the reorganization agenda is largely formulaic. It's our general appointments throughout the year. And past practice, rather than read all 50 of the resolutions, we've adopted them in one resolution, just to give everyone a sense of what they are. It's the appointment of the district clerk and deputy district clerk is one of them. Excuse me. Appointment of our treasurer and deputy treasurer, records access officers, appointment of our general and counsel and labor counsel, district auditors, internal auditors, and a lot of these have been appointed throughout the year pursuant to RFPs. So these are more just standard actions in business. There's appointment of armed security services, but that was already awarded previously. So a lot of these are just routine. Appointment of building principals that keep track of student records. I'm not reading everyone just to give a sense. We approve different bank depositories, so the banks that we deposit our money into, like Capital One. The board meeting dates for the year we readopt. Our district's official newsletters. Signatories for checks, all the different reserves that we have, our bonding council, so we have separate bonding council from our general council, appointment of architects, hearing officers for section 75s, appointment of CSE and PSE CPSE committees and chairs. Authorization for the suspension of pupils, which is just pursuant to the education law. And our org chart, authorization for the vice president to act instead of the president in her absence, and approval of petty cash, and then approval of DASA coordinator, which would be Dan Lombardo, our chief privacy officer, Amanda Kavanaugh, chief emergency officer, Edwin Smith, Title IX coordinator, Dan Lombardo, and a FOIL appeals officer. That's a new one for this year, which is Dr. Delia. So we didn't have a FOIL appeals officer before. So the FOIL officer is Ms. Caliendo, the district clerk, and the appeals would go to Dr. Delia. That's kind of a summary. These are pretty standard every year, year in and year out, unless we have somebody leave. Take a motion to adopt items 2 through 52 in one resolution. Is there a motion? Ms. Clark, second. Mr. Joyner, are there any questions on items 2 through 50? All in favor? Any opposed? All right. That takes us through the reorganization agenda. I will take a motion to adjourn the reorganization meeting. Motion. Motion. Ms. Clark, seconded by Ms. Meyer. Any questions? All in favor? Any opposed? All right, reorganization meeting is done. Move on to our regular business agenda. And we first have a presentation before we get into that agenda. It's the 2025 district-wide safety plan, and it's a public hearing. So, Mr. Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Cepeda. Kind of the theme for tonight is things that the district has to do annually, and that is a public hearing of our district safety plan. So critically important is something to talk about, which is the mission of South Huntington. The mission of South Huntington community is to empower all children to maximize their potential by teaching them the necessary academic skills, enabling them to develop the positive social and moral skills required to become contributing members of society. We strive to provide all children with a safe and secure environment and a place where everyone is treated with respect. So tonight's focus of our presentation is really that safety and security that we provide to their students. But I did want to mention Mr. Jim Beck, who's in the room with us tonight, who is our Director of Security and Safety for the district, and truly does an amazing job in each and every day. I just want to recognize that. Jim has really been instrumental in communication with each one of our buildings, our building principals, myself, Dr. Delia, on a daily basis, if not minute basis, keeping us well informed. So thank you for that, Jim. Greatly appreciated. Also wanted to thank our district safety team for a series of meetings that was held this school year in discussing what is obviously important to us all, and that's the safety of our kids. Tonight's presentation, I will walk us through the requirements in education law. I will also talk about the components of the district safety plan, as well as the timeline for implementation. Requirements in education law is that there are creation of safety teams. Those safety teams are something I just discussed, our district-wide safety team, but also at each building level, we do have emergency response teams as well. Those emergency response teams will discuss when they have certain situations that occur in a building. Let's say you have a fire drill, maybe that did not go as planned. Those response teams will meet together and talk a little bit about what could have been done better, what types of changes could be made to certain plans. And they also have a post-incident response team as well at each one of our buildings. And once again, those could be made up of the same individuals, but they're really discussing, after events take place, what steps could be taken differently, what we're proud of, what we did well, and what we can improve upon. The development of safety plans district-wide are reviewed annually by our district safety team. We did that a bunch of times this school year. We must hold this public hearing this evening, and followed by a 30-day public comment period. So once this draft is approved tonight, it will go to a 30-day public comment period where that copy will remain with our district clerk for review of any community members that would like to review it. And the board must adopt this plan by September 1st of this school year. Building level response plans are a little bit different. Those plans are confidential for very important reasons. Those plans will include our facilities, where classrooms are located, individual names of employees, things that we want to keep confidential at the building level. A response to any one of the events that occur in one of our school buildings, where we would evacuate to, all that information would be secure and something we would not share with the community at large. The district-wide safety plan must include a minimum of policies and procedures to responding to implied or direct threats of acts of violence. Policies and procedures for contacting law enforcement and families. We do maintain a very good relationship with Second Precinct. Appropriate prevention and intervention strategies, and policies and procedures for school safety training, dissemination of information, conducting drills, and the use of security personnel throughout the district. Our district has three layers of security here. We have armed security. I know that Mr. Ciapetta just mentioned that, but we also have our safety officers. Those are the individuals that are interacting with our public each and every day. And we also have our security unit that is really working in the evenings to making sure our physical plant of the district is secure. The building-wide safety plan must include, so this is the building plan specifically. It doesn't go into a lot of detail. Once again, that information is confidential, but it talks about the policies and procedures for responding to an emergency situation that requires a lockdown or a secure lockout. I'll focus in on that word secure lockout. That is new language that is added as of July 2025. Could be some confusion in emergency as far as saying lockout or lockdown. So the state is adding the secure lockout to make sure that there's no confusion between the two. Evacuation and sheltering drills. Here in South Huntington, we do at least 4 lockdown drills, 2 unannounced, typically 2 announced. You might have seen communication. That was something that was new that was added this school year as far as communicating when we are going to do those within the school buildings. Also 8 evacuation drills. Those could vary between a straight evacuation drill or a fire drill. I know all of us went to school, we're familiar with those look like. On nice days, it's always harder to get the kids to come back into the building after those. Also floor plans, roadmaps, and immediate areas. Internal and external communication systems, and specific procedures for reviewing and conducting safety drills. So really, the bulk of tonight's presentation is focused on this timeline that we've created. So during the school year and throughout, from September 24 to June 25, the district safety team has met, reviewed this plan, and has updated it for a draft that will be in a 30-day comment period. July 8th, which is this evening, you're hearing the public discussion of this plan. And then on August 20th, the board has the option, obviously, to adopt this plan, where it will be put on our website and also then updated to the NYSED portal on October 1st. That's it.
It's a public hearing, so anyone have any questions for Mr. Smith from the public? Okay. Board have any questions? Okay. Thank you, Mr. Smith.
Thank you.
All right, take a motion to adopt the agenda. Motion. Ms. LaCara, seconded by Mr. Joyner. All right. Any questions on the agenda? All in favor? Any opposed? All right, we're moving on to the specific items. Items E through H require one resolution for adoption. These are our minutes, financial items, bills. We have a few bills, and that's it. Motion. Ms. Meyer, seconded by Ms. Clark. Mr. Conway, you want to summarize some of these bids for us?
Absolutely, thank you. Just to briefly discuss each one, the approval of the school nutrition bid, South Huntington is part of a co-op with roughly 50 districts on Long Island since the 1980s. The intent here is to increase buying power and keep prices low for all the districts that participate. And some of the awards before you tonight includes things like bread, grocery, canned good, frozen foods, things of that nature for the food service. The next one would be the Wildcat statue. For approval tonight would be the request to award an RFP to construct and deliver the new Wildcat statue to Austin Rose Collection. The cost is roughly $48,000 delivered, and that will be covered by donated funds.
No public money.
Correct. The next one, the implementation of energy confirmation. So this one here is actually a non-award. We had put out an RFP to consider the possibilities of an additional EPC program for the district. There was questioning and some inquiry from a company called Renew Restoration. After they dove into the potential items we were requesting them to look at, they felt at this point there was no cost benefit for them or for the district, so that at this point is not going to move forward. And the last one is
Yeah,
also.
yeah. Oh, sorry. No, I'll give that one to Ms.
Okay,
D'Elia.
sure,
Sorry,
not
thank
a
you.
problem.
Yes, okay, yes, it's a non-award. We put out an RFP for off-site pre-K, and we thought there would be some interested parties, and there were not. But recently we found out there could be some interest, so we did put out a new RFP for pre-K, because we're really trying, I know Dr. Henda every day is working on it to try and make sure we take students off that wait list, and we're getting close. Last year we had 5 sections, we're up to 10 sections now. We're watching, you know, the kindergarten enrollment to see where it is, because it's all about space, and we get that space, I'm telling you. And he knows the priority is put them in there, because this is our last year of any kind of wait list, which is super exciting. So yes, the bad news is this RFP nobody put in, but we believe there may be some interest moving forward to possibly take another 16 to 18 students off the wait list. So bad news, good news mixed in.
Okay, great, thank you. You're doing a great job on trying to find every student that wants a spot. So very, very popular. Thank you. And, also, just most of the money on the Wildcat was donated by Vicki Dollins. So I'd like to thank her. She gave almost all of the money to us, and she's been amazing. She donated all the money for the art gallery construction. So her art development fund, which she runs and raises money each year through the her November craft fair, funds a lot in the district. So we thank her. We wouldn't have a lot without her. So she's been a great friend to the district. Any questions? All in favor? Any opposed? All right, and then we're moving on to new business. We have a ton of new business today, 31 to be exact. 30. Oh, we're having 31st. All right, we will get right into it. Some are interesting. The first one we've discussed a little bit with our policy committee on student and personal electronic devices, but now we have a specific policy to enact. Is there a motion? Ms. LaCara, second. Mr. Joyner. Dr. D'Elia.
Yes, I'm going to turn this over to Ms. Kavanaugh in a second, but the governor in her budget this year, she was requiring all school districts to develop policy regarding students and personal electronic devices. And I know we created a committee here, and I have to thank Ms. Kavanaugh, Ms. Meyer, and the other members of the committee for working really hard on this, and they generated a policy. So I'll turn it over to Ms. Kavanaugh.
Thank you, Dr. D'Elia. For the board's approval tonight, we have policy 5695, which is students and personal electronic devices. Previously, this was an optional policy that we did not have in place, so this was a nice fit for us as the state really put this out for us to consider. So in early May, like Dr. D'Elia said, Governor Hochul announced that we had to do a bell-to-bell restriction on cell phones and internet-enabled devices. So bell-to-bell does not mean period to period, it means start of the day to the end of the day. So just a few highlights of the policy, because there's a lot within it. All of the different requirements are within our policy, but just a few definitions that are important. We separately defined internet-enabled devices and other personal electronic devices. Our internet-enabled devices are things like smartphones, laptops, tablets, smartwatches, etc. And then other personal electronic devices include things like traditional mobile phones, which would be phones that are not necessarily capable of connecting to the internet, but that you could still text and call on. Also fitness trackers, headphones, e-readers. As you can imagine, there's many different types of personal electronic devices. So for us, when we were looking at this policy, part of it was about complying with the law, but also about making this manageable within our schools. And really, as you can imagine, the largest impact that we'll see as far as a change will be at Walt Whitman High School. For K-8, this is really standard practice for us. We typically don't allow devices within the classroom. Even at Whitman, currently our students come into their classrooms, they put phones in a holder, and that's where it stays for the period. The real shift for Whitman even will be walking between the periods and during non-instructional time. So currently, that is actually allowed, where students, if they're on an off period and lunch, etc., that they could use their phone. That is no longer the case according to the law. So what we did in our policy is really define where the storage locations would be. So our students will be expected at the elementary level to store their phones or devices off and away, silenced, in their cubbies in their classrooms, whereas our secondary students, grades 6 through 12, will be keeping them in their lockers throughout the day. That's the expectation. As far as communication protocols, that is another piece that we're required to put in the policy. We'll be using the main office phones as well as some of the other offices throughout the buildings, but more information will come to you from each of your buildings. So this is something that is not going to look exactly the same at each school, and we're exploring additional options for communications. As we know, there could be a high volume, and we want to make sure that parents and students are able to communicate with each other as needed. Also, as required, there are some exceptions for use. So as you can imagine, there will be situations where there's a need based on, it could be a medical situation for a student that needs to monitor something like diabetes, or it could be something related to a specific need that they have. So documentation would be required, but that is something that is outlined in our policy as well. And then we have components required, including consequences and enforcement. And so just for note, the statute states that we cannot suspend a student out of school solely for the purpose of having their cell phone. However, as you could imagine, there's different factors that would come into play that would incur some disciplinary consequences. So there's other consequences that would take place, and we would follow our code of conduct in relation to that. And our policy will be distributed on the website, and each year you'll be notified as a community as to how you can communicate with your child and how your child can communicate with you. But as I said, we're now, once this policy is adopted, Dr. Murphy, as well as our other building principals, will be working with building level teams to really outline the protocols and procedures that align with our policy.
I saw a personnel posting for a committee. Is that what you're referencing?
Yes, so we're affording some hours for Dr. Murphy to work with his team. As I stated, this is the biggest impact we'll see will be at Whitman. And, we know that coming out of the gate, the most important thing is to establish extreme structure and protocols. So they're ready to do that. We want them to work together and have that time to do so. So we have staff members who are willing to come in over the summer to help work on this. So we're going to afford them that opportunity.
Okay. Questions from the board on the policy? Yes, Ms. Meyer, who helped work on the committee. Thank you very much for your
It
service
was
on
my
that.
pleasure. And not a question, but I do just want to commend Ms. Kavanaugh on her leadership of the committee. It was an extremely comprehensive cross-section of stakeholders from every possible perspective and constituency. And Ms. Kavanaugh did an excellent job keeping it efficient, keeping us focused on what was required. And we look forward to seeing it being rolled out in the building. So thank you, Ms. Kavanaugh.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Meyer. Any other comments by board members? Yes, Dr. Dilly. Go ahead.
Yeah, in my conversations with other superintendents, it looks like they're following pretty much similar to what may be adopted here tonight in South Huntington. So it looks like lockers is the very popular choice of many school districts.
Okay. All right. All in favor? Any opposed? Okay. Well, actually, just one other thing, Ms. Kavanaugh. We had to set up a method for students to be able to communicate. Can you just describe that a little bit again?
Right, so as I said, the buildings will each define that a little bit differently, but the main office phone is what they've been using throughout our K-8 schools. So really that's been working. We do assume that there will be an uptick, obviously, with this new component in place. And also at Whitman, there's additional offices that will be utilized, so it's not just the main office. So Dr. Murphy already has a draft of some of the things that will be utilized, but that will be communicated with parents. We are exploring other options as far as email and things like that, but we're trying not to shift distraction from one place to another. The heart of this policy is really about distraction-free learning, so we're looking to figure out how we can do that in the least distracting way possible.
Dr. Dilly, can you talk about how you're going to communicate this policy, obviously, which is very important to our families?
Yeah, upon adoption by the board tonight, I will be communicating this week, sending out the policy, but I know it's July. So I will also send out more communications in August, and I know at the building level too, because like Ms. Kavanaugh had stated, there'll be some building-specific practices that are done, and that will go out as well. So there'll be at least 3 communications coming from my office between now and the start of the school year, one being this week and 2 in August. And the last one will be very close to the start of the school year, but I know there'll be more communications from the buildings as well. It's, like Ms. Kavanaugh said, the high school, that's going to be the toughest transition for a lot of students. So,
And what about to staff? Will this be part of your superintendent's conference days, explaining what the policy is about and how it can be and cannot be enforced?
absolutely. It will, I'm sure every principal during their faculty meetings on superintendent's conference, they will have this on their list. Right, Dr. Murphy?
Okay, great. I think we adopted it, right? We already voted, yeah, okay. All right, moving on to new business. Item number 2 is the approval of agreement between South Huntington and Central Islip Union Free School District. Motion. Ms. Meyer, seconded by Ms. LaCara. Mr. Conway.
Thank you, Mr. Iapetta. Tonight for the board's approval would be a contract between South Huntington and Central ISIP School District for health services they would be providing to one student of ours attending South Shore Charter School that reside in South Huntington.
Okay, any questions? All in favor? Any opposed? Moving on to item 3, approval of a health service agreement between South Huntington and Westbury Union Free School District. Motion. Ms. LaCara, seconded by Ms. Meyer. Mr. Conway again.
Okay, before you tonight for this one is an approval between South Huntington and Westbury for health services they are providing to 3 students attending St. Bridget Schools, 1 student attending Whispering Pines, and 2 at Holy Family. All of these children live within our district.
Okay, all in favor? Any opposed? All right. Moving on to new business, item 4 is approval for South Huntington to participate in school lunch cooperative and the National School Lunch Program. Motion. Ms. Meyer, seconded by Mr. Joyner. Mr. Conway again.
Thank you. So the first one is Lucinda, that's the Long Island School Nutrition Directors Association. This is a resolution we do every year which allows South Huntington to continue participation in this cooperative, therefore allowing us to bid jointly with other public schools in both Nassau and Suffolk for various food service commodities. And the second part of this tonight is the NSLP, the National School Lunch Program. This is also required by the board to adopt to allow our continued participation in this school lunch program so that we can continue to operate our program as obviously receive the state and federal funding that goes along with that.
Thank you, Mr. Conway. Any questions? All in favor? Any opposed? All right. Moving on to new business item number 5. This begins a series of out-of-district placements for various schools that the board contracts with, and these are some students whose disabilities don't allow them to be placed in our regular school setting. So the first one is an out-of-district placement with the Elijah School. Motion. Ms. LaCara, seconded by Ms. Clark. Mr. Lombardo.
Thank you, Mr. Ciapetta. For the board's approval, this placement is for a 19-year-old student who has attended the Elijah School since entering our district in September of 2021. The student would attend the Elijah School through a stipulation agreement, as this is not a state-approved school. The student needs a high level of support in dealing with aggressive behavior and academic deficits. He is also nonverbal and requires a communication device.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Lombardo. Questions? All in favor? Any opposed? And each of these were reviewed in executive session to make sure that the placements were appropriate. Moving on to item number 6, another approval of the out-of-district placement also for the Elijah School. Motion. Mr. Joyner, seconded by Ms. Meyer. Mr. Lombardo.
Thank you, Mr. Ciapetta. For the board's approval, this placement is for a 20-year-old student who has attended out-of-district placement since pre-K. The student would attend the Elijah School through a stipulation agreement. The student requires support in the home and a highly structured academics center to work on behaviors, communication, and daily living skills.
Thank you, Ms. Lombardo. Questions? All in favor? Any opposed? All right. Moving on to new business item number 7 is the approval of out-of-district placement. This is the Elijah School Outreach Program for the same student as item 6. Is there a motion? Ms. LaCara, seconded by Ms. Meyer. Mr. Lombardo.
Thank you, Mr. Ciapetta. For the board's approval, this agreement would allow the previous student who attends the Elijah School to receive related service consultations at home through the Elijah School Outreach Program. This agreement allows Elijah staff to work with home providers and the parent in the home setting. This would also be through a stipulation agreement.
Okay. Any questions? All in favor? Any opposed? Moving on to new business item 8, approval of another out-of-district placement, this time also with the Elijah Outreach Program. Motion. Ms. Clark, seconded by Mr. Joyner and Mr. Lombardo.
Thank you, Mr. Ciapetta. For the board's approval, this placement is for a 17-year-old student who is parentally placed in the residential setting at Brookside Multicare Nursing Center, but receives educational services through the Elijah Outreach Program. The student would receive services through the Elijah School through a stipulation agreement. The student has a dual diagnosis and has significant behavioral, medical, and academic needs.
Thank you. All in favor? Any opposed? Moving on to new business item 9, approval of out-of-district placement, once again with the Elijah School. Motion. Ms. Meyer, seconded by Mr. Joyner. Mr. Lombardo.
Thank you, Mr. Ciapetta. For the board's approval, this placement is for a 15-year-old who has been placed in an out-of-district program since pre-K. The student requires a high level of support in the areas of communication, social skills, self-care, and has significant behavioral concerns.
Okay, questions? All in favor? Any opposed? And item 10, another out-of-district placement, this time with the Little Flower Union Free School District for 2 students. Motion. Ms. LaCara, seconded by Ms. Clark. Mr. Lombardo.
Thank you, Mr. Ciapetta. For the board's approval, this state-approved placement is for 2 students who require a high level of emotional and behavioral support. Diagnoses include ADHD, oppositional defiant disorder, and depressive disorders. Both students require a high level of behavioral and mental health support.
Thank you, Ms. Lombardo. Any questions? All in favor? Any opposed? And our final out-of-district placement, new business item 11 with the George Rotenberg Educational Center. Is there a motion? Mr. Joyner, seconded by Ms. Meyer. Mr. Lombardo, one more time.
Thank you, Mr. Ciapetta. For the board's approval, this out-of-state residential placement is for 1 student who requires academic, behavioral, and self-care support. The student struggles with independent living skills and cannot be managed at home.
Okay, great. Any questions? All in favor? Any opposed? Resolution is adopted. Moving on to number 12, approval of obsolete items, textbooks at Walt Whitman High School. Is there a motion? Ms. Clark, seconded by Ms. LaCara. Ms. Kavanaugh.
Thank you, Mr. Ciapetta. For the board's approval, we have a request from Dr. Matt Murphy to declare several items obsolete. This is a health, earth science, and Glencoe physical science books. They're no longer in compliance with New York State Education Learning Standards.
Okay. Questions? All in favor? Any opposed? And item 13, obsolete textbooks from Stimson Middle School. Motion. Ms. Meyer, seconded by Mr. Joyner. Ms. Kavanaugh again.
Thank you, Mr. Ciapetta. For the board's approval, we have a request from Mr. Duggan at Stimson Middle School for social studies books that are, again, no longer in compliance. We have copyrights going back to 1969. They're no longer in compliance with the current framework for social studies in the state of New York.
One would think, right? Yeah. Wow. Okay. Questions? All in favor? Any opposed? All right. Oh, that would have been good, right? Yeah. Wow, these are some things. I probably had some of these books. All right. Moving on to item 14, approval of agreement between South Huntington and the YMCA. Is there a motion? Ms. Meyer, seconded by Ms. Clark. Dr. Hender.
Thank you, Mr. Ciapetta. Tonight, for the board's approval, we have an agreement with the Huntington YMCA for our boys and girls swim team to use their pool during the school year. We combine with Huntington, Harbor Fields, and John Glenn for our boys and girls to swim.
Okay. One we do each year, right? Okay.
Yes.
Questions? All in favor? Any opposed? All right, moving on to new business. Item 15 is the approval of the district's physical education plan. Is there a motion? Mr. Joyner, seconded by Ms. Meyer. Ms. Kavanaugh.
Thank you, Mr. Ciapetta. For the board's approval tonight, Mr. Barth, actually, who's here with us tonight, worked very hard on this plan with the entire department to come up with our next cycle of PE plan. So this plan will be in effect until 2031-2032 school year. That feels strange to even say those years. But this is a K-12 plan that really highlights some updates in the area of K-12 curriculum, updated physical education learning standards, and grade level specific outcomes and objectives.
Great, thank you. Questions? Anything you want to add, Mr. Barth?
No, just again, really updating what we've been doing in the physical education department, adding on to Dr. Wright's great work that he did on the previous one, and just really bringing it up to where we're at right now.
Okay, great. Thank you. Questions? All in favor? Any opposed? All right, now we got a couple trips. We have an out-of-state field trip and then an out-of-country field trip. So first one, we'll take the out-of-state field trip for Virtual Enterprise. Ms. LaCara, second. Ms. Meyer. And we will go back to Ms. Kavanaugh.
Thank you, Mr. Ciapetta. For the board's approval tonight, we have an out-of-state overnight field trip to California in 2025. This will be for our business students who would be in the virtual enterprise class. We're looking at sending about, I'm just looking at the number of students. Wow, it says 40 VE students would be attending. So again, this would be a significant cost, but the students are planning to fundraise and offset the cost, but the cost would be on the student side.
I don't remember this one before. Is this new?
This is new.
Okay, great. Hopefully we can have them present when they come back.
Mr. Thomas Ferranti is our teacher who's spearheading this. Really give him a lot of credit. This is a huge trip.
Yep.
I'm sure, are you asking about chaperoning this, Cheryl? A great opportunity for our students and an opportunity to compete with students from across the country. So it's a really incredible opportunity.
Great. We'll have them present. Mr. Ferrante has presented before to us as well, so. Okay, questions? All in favor? Any opposed? Very cool. All right. Next, out-of-country trip, even further. Motion? Ms. Clark, second. Mr. Joyner, Ms. Kavanaugh.
We're seeing how far away from South Huntington we can get
About as
with
far
some
as
of
we can
these
get
trips.
on this one, I think.
I'm starting to get a little jealous of the travel plans that our students and staff have, but this is pretty incredible. An opportunity for us to take 20 students and 3 chaperones to Japan. This is submitted by Ms. Erin Roche at the high school, who is looking to take students in February of 2026.
Amazing. Good. We have a Japanese tea ceremony, so I have to bring some tea back for us. Any questions? All in favor? Any opposed? All right. Amazing experiences. Moving on to new business 18, approval of a consultant agreement for Whippy Technologies. Is there a motion? Ms. Meyer, seconded by Mr. Joyner. Ms. Kavanaugh again.
Absolutely. Okay, so for the board's approval tonight, we have a contract with Whippy Technologies. They assist the district with various different technology-related services, including things related to our firewall, our filtering, a lot of specialized protocols that we run within our Infinite Campus system, and they support the district in some of those unique ways that our staff cannot.
Okay. Questions? All in favor? Any opposed? All right. Approval 19, approval of another conference. This is for a staff member, Mr. Muller, to attend a conference in Seattle for the, let me see if I can figure out what this initials stand for, National Association of Secondary School Principals. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
No.
Secondary principals.
No, good. In Seattle, Washington. Motion. Ms. Meyer, seconded by Mr. Joyner. Ms. Kavanaugh again.
Thank you, Mr. Ciapetta. For the board's approval tonight, we're seeking permission and approval for Dr. Muller, who is the Assistant Principal of the Year for New York State, to head to Seattle for a conference related to that work.
Excellent. Great. Questions? All in favor? Any opposed? Resolution is adopted. Moving on to new business item 20, approval of various data privacy agreements. Is there a motion? Ms. Clark, seconded by Ms. Meyer. Dr. Hender.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Ciapetta. Tonight for the board's approval is a variety of data privacy agreements for applications that our students utilize. This is to ensure that we are EdLaw 2D compliant and that all of our student information is kept secure.
Okay. Questions? These are standard. We have probably hundreds of these throughout the year. All in favor? Any opposed? All right, moving on to new business. Item 21 is the approval of agreement between South Huntington and the Huntington Unity Fund Day. Motion. Ms. LaCara, seconded by Ms. Meyer. Dr. D'Elia, this is near and dear to your heart.
Yes, for the board's approval. We are looking to secure the grounds at Stimson as we've done annually for our Unity Fund Day. We work in conjunction with the town of Huntington. I'm sorry. We work in conjunction with the town of Huntington, and we've been part of this for about 10 years at least. And Dee Thompson, who was a very influential leader within the town of Huntington, she was the one who really ran this. She passed sadly a few years ago, but I co-chair this event along with Dee Thompson's granddaughter Kim. And South Huntington plays a big role in this and our unity within the town of Huntington. And Huntington is also taking a larger role this year, the Huntington School District, and helping us and working closely with Beth McCoy, the superintendent there. We've had a great couple of meetings so far. We have a few more meetings to go through, but we look forward on September 13th to celebrate and have a great day. And we haven't had it for a few years only because it got rained out the first year, and then we did it in April, year and a half ago almost, and it was a cold April 6th day, and it was kind of tough. But it seems like September, that second, third week of September, is the right time, and that was the first rain we ever had. But there's no rain date, because Dee Thompson never believed in rain dates. And the first time we put a rain date, the year she wasn't here, and we had a cold April day, so I think she was looking down on us. So we're looking forward to September 13th.
You want to announce the honorees?
They don't know yet.
Oh, okay. No, never mind.
I have the letter on my desk, so I
Okay,
didn't
sorry.
speak to them individually yet.
Okay.
August, yes, we
All right,
can
okay.
talk about it.
Questions? All in favor? Any opposed? All right, moving on to item number 22. Mr. Smith, warm up. You're ready.
Yeah, ready to go.
Resolution to abolish 4 part-time custodial positions. Motion. Ms. LaCara, seconded by Mr. Joyner. Mr. Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Ciapetta. For the Board of Education's approval is this resolution that abolishes 4 part-time custodial positions, 2 at Maplewood and 2 at Birchwood. These positions would be replaced with 2 full-time positions, 1 at each intermediate building.
Okay. Any questions on this? All in favor? Any opposed? All right, moving on to item number 3 is our substitute pay schedule for 2025-2026 for various positions. Is there a motion? Kara, Mr. Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Ciapetta. For the Board of Education's approval is the substitute pay scale for the 25-26 school year. These positions include per diem substitutes, permanent substitutes, short-term permanent substitutes, registered nurses, paraprofessionals, food service workers, custodians, and office assistants. Also, this resolution addresses the increase of minimum wage from $16.50 per hour to $17 effective January 1st, 2026.
Okay. And the per diem substitute, 105 per day, I think that's a little lower than other districts. You think is that we having any difficulties getting them, or?
Not for per diem. What I did run an analysis across the island, and that is still within reason for per diem substitutes.
Okay.
And same thing with our permanent substitutes. We're still within that nice sweet spot as far as what we're charging of $140 per day.
Okay, great. Questions? All in favor? Any opposed? Moving on to new business, item 24, approval of school safety officer supervision coverage, backup coverage. Motion. Ms. LaCara, seconded by Ms. Clark, Ms. Meyer. Mr. Smith again.
Thank you, Mr. Ciapetta. For the Board of Education's approval is this resolution for Peter Minerzik to assume the role of supervisor in situations where the 2 current supervisors are not available to work.
Okay. Questions? All in favor? Any opposed? Forgot to note, we down to a couple board members today. They were traveling, so that's why we only have 5. So, okay. New business item 25 is middle management travel allowance. Motion. Ms. Meyer, seconded by Ms. LaCara and Mr. Smith.
Thank you. For the Board of Education's approval is this resolution that provides travel allowances to members of middle management that use their own personal vehicle for school business purposes. These positions include the supervisor of facilities, school lunch manager, and administrative aide to the Board of Education.
Okay. Questions? All in favor? Any opposed? This also is a resolution that we do each year at the reorg time, as well as new business item 26, which is the approval of SHA, South Huntington Administrative Association travel allowances. Motion. Ms. LaCara, seconded by Mr. Joyner. Mr. Smith again.
Similar to what was just discussed, as the Board of Education's approval is used to pass this resolution, which is travel allowances for members of our South Huntington Administrative Association. The positions include the supervisor of mathematics, science, business, and technology, supervisor for guidance, supervisor of student services and wellness, supervisor of E&L dual language and world language, the supervisor of physical education, health, athletics, and recreation, and finally the supervisor of administrative services.
Okay. And this also, as we mentioned, and done annually. Questions? All in favor? Any opposed? New business item 27, some technology department travel allowances. Motion. Ms. Meyer, seconded by Mr. Joyner. Mr. Smith again.
And once again, for the Board of Education's approval is this resolution that provides travel allowances to members of our technology department that use their own personal vehicle for school business purposes. The positions include the network and systems technician, as well as 2 of our network and systems specialists.
Okay. Great. how are they chosen? Are they every year, these same individuals, or?
These are positions that exist within our contracts, yes.
Great. Questions? All in favor? Any opposed? All right, moving on to new business 28, approval of a consultant agreement. Is there a motion? Ms. Meyer, seconded by Mr. Joyner. Smith again.
Absolutely. For the Board of Education's approval is this consultant agreement which supports the district operations and services. The term of this agreement is 12 months from the period of August 1st, 2025 through July 31st of 2026.
Okay, thank you. All in favor, sir? Any opposed? All right. Item 29 is the recommendations for the placements of students by the Committee on Special Education and the Committee on Preschool Special Education, dates listed in February, March, April, May, and June. Is there a motion? Mr. Joyner, seconded by Ms. Meyer. Any questions on the placements? All in favor? Any opposed? All right, and the last item of new business is the approval for a board member to attend the Nassau-Suffolk School Boards Association Annual Summer Law Conference with the hot legal issues around, and there should be quite a bit this year. We had a big decision from the Supreme Court, and that's going to be held on 7/15 at the Huntington Hilton. Is there a motion? Ms. LaCara, seconded by Ms. Meyer. Any questions on that one? All in favor? Any opposed? That was for Ms. Clark to attend, and so I'll be there as well. It's a good program. They give you a lot of good information. So, all right, and that's it. Personnel. We have personnel schedules 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 9, 11, 15, 16, 19, 20, and 22. Is there a motion? We have Ms. LaCara and seconded by Ms. Meyer. Any questions on the personnel schedules? All in favor? Any opposed? Information reports are listed. Committee reports. There are no committee reports. We'll be having a facilities meeting, though, next Wednesday, and a lot going on in the district. This summer always has a lot of construction projects, highlighted this year by the work over Memorial. Memorial is an active construction site right now, and there's a lot going on, so to get us ready for the sixth graders in not this school year, next school year. So a lot going on over there. All right, future meetings are listed. We have 2 more summer meetings. We have a summer meeting on August 6th and August 20th. The August 6th meeting and the August 20th meeting are both at the James Cade Administrative Offices. Just something of note, I think at the August 6th meeting, Dr. D'Elia is going to be presenting the board with a plan that he's been working on for a few months now. To address school bus behavior, and it's a comprehensive plan. It's multi-pronged, has a number of items in there to address the school bus referrals that we have, which takes up a lot of time of our administrators and takes our students out of class too often. So we look forward to seeing that at the next meeting. You want to add anything on that, Dr. D'Elia?
I think you covered it. We're still working on it, and we look forward to then having the opportunity to present to the board and the public.
Great, thank you. All right, comments by board members. Comments. Ms. Clark, welcome again.
Thank you. I just wanted to thank the community for giving me this opportunity and trusting me to do the work that needs to be done here with the board, and I look forward to it. I'm honored to be working with all of you. So thank you.
Congratulations once again and welcome. Any other comments? Ms. Meyer.
Yes, I'd just like to officially welcome Mrs. Clark to the board as well. It's great to have another lifelong Wildcat here. We look forward to serving with you. I'm sure you will do great things for the district as well. Also just want to commend everyone on another amazing commencement at Walt Whitman High School. It was a beautiful day, very special. All of the student speeches were just absolutely inspiring and really blew me away, as well as all the other moving up ceremonies across the district. Kudos to everyone that puts those together and worked really seamlessly. It was a really hot last few weeks of the school year, but it was all pulled off beautifully. And also thank you to all the different building PTAs who made the end of the school year very special for all of our students, especially those moving up and on to new buildings and new adventures. And then also just a shout out, as Wildcat Camp is off to a tremendous start, Again, this year, we had our first Fire Truck Friday last Thursday, so Fire Truck Thursday. Looked very, very well attended, another hot week, but all the staff seems to be doing a wonderful job. There's so many smiles out there every day, and we've continued to expand the program so much this year with drones and battle bots, and our culinary program is the rival of Suffolk County on Long Island, so kudos to Mrs. Dalia and everyone putting in the effort there and continue to grow and expand the program so that any little Wildcats that are interested in attending have the opportunity to do so. It's another feather in our district's cap, so thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Meyer. Other comments by board members? Just a couple on my own. I wanted to mention on June 22nd, I had the ability to attend the All Abilities Expo at Heckscher Park, which is run by one of our parents. And also I saw there our special education SEPTA president, Maureen Bastow, and it was really a nice event despite its humidity there and rain in the morning, but they had a good turnout, and it was really very inspiring. And I also want to, obviously the commencement was great this year, I thought, but I want to focus a little bit on the Stimson moving up ceremony, which was really terrific. The weather cooperated, it was nice and cool, but it was a very efficient ceremony, and students were super well behaved, and just everything was really great. And to me, one of the highlights was the musical performance at the beginning of it. They did just a tremendous job, and we had a medley of different Broadway show tunes, and it was really done well, and the student talent shined very brightly. They were excellent. All right, Dr. DeLeo.
Yes. Also, not to be super repetitive, but thank you, Dr. Murphy, and your team for the organization of putting that graduation together at the high school. That's my most stressful day of the year because I watched the weather for 10 days, and my emotions went up and down as the weather was changing in the forecast, but it turned out to be a nice night. We had a nice little breeze, but it was a very dignified event for those deserving seniors. So thank you to your entire team and the grounds crew and everybody putting that together, because it's the most wonderful event we have in this district. And yes, as Ms. Meyer said, the Wildcat camps, I've been there both days, since last week, and we're really busy this week. Culinary camp has about 316 students, and the sports camp has about maybe even a little bit more than that. So we have a lot of Wildcats here during the day at the high school. So and the camps are going really well. That's something to be proud of. And also, just recently, we had our South Huntington Day at Citi Field on Sunday. We sold 500 tickets in about 3 weeks for the Yankee-Met game, and I'm telling you, people got a really good deal buying those tickets then, because those prices kind of doubled recently, and it was a well-played game. Yankees were on top, but I know they lost 2 out of 3, but it was a great series, and it was great seeing South Huntington being there on the field, right next to Giancarlo Stanton and, some of the other Yankees, right, feet away from them, and singing the national anthem on the warning track. So we look forward to doing that event every year, and I look forward next year.
It was good for the Yankees to win one game that week, so it was good.
That week, yes, you're right. It was that week. But it's busy. People think in the summer. I get questions all the time. People saying, "Oh, you're off now, right?" I'm like, no. No. This is like the time where we get a lot of work and a lot of things accomplished. Working with the board, with everybody. So it's the energy starts to come to us to September's almost here. I'm sorry. I know people may not, students may not want to hear that so much, but listen.
Oh, don't rush it yet.
No, it's still July, but as I spoke with a few people, this after July 4th, it moves somewhat quick, and but we're excited about what's to come for September, and looking forward to our next board meeting and the presentation, because I think we have a good plan in place to kind of address bus behavior that's been there in every district all over. But I think the team here has a nice plan put together that we're really looking forward to share with the community.
Okay, great. Lucy is not with us today. I think she's been excused for the summer meeting, so we will skip to Voice of the Residents. Any residents? I don't have anyone signed up yet, but any resident like to address the board? No? Okay. I think that's it. We'll take a motion we don't have to go into exec, a motion then to adjourn. A motion by Ms. Meyer and seconded by Mr. Joyner and Ms. Clark. Welcome again, Ms. Clark. Congratulations. Thank you, everyone. All in favor? Any opposed? And have a nice month of July.